Welcome everyone. Today we have another new episodes based on the quality educations. And most important thing is that we have our honorable guest.
Welcome
We have
everyone. Today we have
chairman.
another new episodes based on the quality education.
We have our honorable guest, Mr. Sobur Khan. He is a chairman of Daffodil Education Group. Beside that, we have Professor Donalds. We have Mr. Bartola, Mr. Brian. So I want to start with Mr. Sobur Khan. Can you please introduce yourself, and specifically, we know that you have a very big university in Bangladesh. Can you please share something about your big organization, Daffodil Education Group?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Mr. Sharif, to invite me to say a few words here. So I'm just representing Daffodil International University, a private university established in 2002. And we have the largest education network. And at the same time, our family, that is, we call our group, we call our family. So Daffodil Education Network, we has almost 20 plus organization. We have college, we have vocational training institute, we have school, we have skill development institute, and a lot of branch also, and even the college, and we have the nursing college. So anyway, in the educational setup, we have plenty of setup, and we have also the largest national university affiliated institute called DIIT, and we have also the one institute called Daffodil International Academy. This is also, we are working with the British education system. So my background is basically, I started my business in IT in 1990 after my university graduation. I don't have any other experience. So I'm sure that you will be agree with me, especially the Brian, because it's called the startup. So in 1990, there was no startup call. So that's why I love to say that I started my business from the scratch level, so which is called now the startup. So in 1990, when I started my IT business, I was first selling the computer, assembling computer, and I have a lot of the showroom. Still, I have a lot of the showroom. And later on, this computer company called Daffodil Computers has become the public listed, first IT public listed company in Dhaka Stock Exchange and Chittagong Stock Exchange. So, well, when I just made my business position very stable, I thought it is time to contribute to the society. So that is one of the reasons I started in education sector in 1997, and later on, I set up the university in 2002. So within these 18 years, I'm sure that we are in a very good position. Just 5 days back, QS ranking, they already ranking our university one of the best private universities. So among the top 11 universities in Bangladesh, we stood the 4th. And we are also positioning in the Times Higher Education. And a lot of this local and international ranking, we are already in the good position. So that's all about me. I'm trying to contribute in the education sector. Thank you, Shuri.
Thank you, sir. Besides that, I have a question. Like example, at present we are observing that 90% of our startup actually fail, but you are one of the successful. You make a very successful business organization. What the strategy behind that? And second things, what the real scenario of the education system right now in the COVID period, especially in Bangladesh, inside Bangladesh?
No, thank you very much. I think it's a very good question, because a lot of cases the startup think that whatever business they are planning, when they will start, they thought that, okay, I need to make my business successful. But it is obviously not true, because as a startup, I'm sure that all of the entrepreneurs need to focus that what should be the best possible way. If there should be any obstacle, they should find out the best possible way to overcome the scenario. Because when I started my business, honestly speaking, I started my business as a Daffodil publication. But within 3 months, I understood I am not the right person. Because the way I started my business, I thought that, no, I'm not quite familiar with this business. So some of my friends insist me to start in the publication, to start in one magazine. But within 3 months, honestly speaking, I realized that I'm not fit for that business. So within 3 months, I took decision, no. As my university education, luckily, we have the computer science while I was the honor student. So, and I was very lucky also. I got the highest mark among all of my friends in the computer science, only 100 mark, because in that time there was not much computer science. You know, the GW basic, Q basic, flow chart, a basic computer knowledge I got it. And you know that in that time, WordStar, Lotus, DBase, that is Microsoft, some few program is there. So I thought that, okay, fine, as I have the good confidence and good knowledge in computer area, so why not I should start in computer business? So I thought that all of the startups need to focus that whatever domain knowledge they have, they should first start based on their domain knowledge. And I'm sure that I did my right job because I started based on my domain knowledge. And that is why I should say that I become successful in my first business step. And again, you see, when I started in computer accessory selling, suddenly I realized after 2 years that it's a mushroom of company is already growing, and they also started selling to the computer spare parts. So I thought that this is the time for me to speak to the better way. I started the computer assembly. And you know, after 3 years, I found that plenty of people also started the computer assembly. So then I moved to the branded computer like HP, Compaq, Dell, these sorts of big Microsoft, Intel, all of the big company I represented in 1996, 1997. But again, you know, after 1999, I realized that it is very tough to compete with this worldwide giant company because they already appointed distributor more than one, more than two companies. So we fought each other. So then I skipped to the software development, and then I already mentioned that I just went to the stock market. I just did my company public listed. I set up a lot of this showroom. So that is why I should say that the entrepreneur need to change their mindset based on the market demand. Because as we love to say that the artificial intelligence, data analysis, customer interest, that sorts of, I think, feelings we need to analyze. So I tried my best to understand the market scenario. That is why I should say that whenever I realize that the market is going on this way, I also move my business and set up my university, as you already mentioned. In COVID-19, what is the scenario of the education? You see, as an entrepreneur, I realized that this is the best time to flourish my university. So what I did in the first stage, I tried to push my all faculty, my student to move to the virtual platform, online platform we call the Blending Learning Center. First time our student was very shy, our teacher was very shy, they don't come to this platform. But you see, when I myself is already took the initiative to talk with our teacher, I try to motivate them. I tell them that, look, we don't know that how long it will be sustained. So please, it is our time to prove that how much we know the technology. So prove our efficiency through the technology and reach our students through the technology. And I'm really lucky and I'm really happy to say that all of our faculty is coming forward. They helped me. Students are very positive. When we started the Blending Learning Center through the online, student interact with the teacher and they really enjoy the discussion through the live discussion. They are participating in the assignment, they are participating in the quiz, they already participated in the discussion forum, and they are not coming physically to the campus. You see, they enjoy the technological benefit in this COVID-19. So what happened? Through this technology, I should say that we overcome this COVID-19 problem. And even that we did a survey in 2 months back that we are ready, our campus is ready to invite to the students those who are ready to come to the physically to do the class. But very surprised, the 97% student, they are telling the no, sir, we are enjoying this virtual learning platform. We are very happy. So please keep it up. Once the COVID-19 will be solved, then inshallah we'll come to the campus. So that's why I should say that COVID-19 is, honestly speaking, in some cases, definitely it was bad for the economy, but in some cases it was good for the also economy. You see, as Mr. Sharif, a lot of the people you already mentioned that some of them joined from the Spain, some of them joined from the California. But what is happening? I think within few minutes we already connected each other. We are talking, we are sharing, and we find out a lot of the good networking. So that's why I should say it is a positive side also. And as we love to say, this is the new normal, and we must have to agree and we must need to cope up with this real scenario. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. I hope I'm.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for excellent sessions. I think that all of our guests and other things, they can contribute a lot. I want to start with Professor Donalds. Like, what do you want to share about this developing economy? According to IMF report, like example, country like Bangladesh, they are one of the fastest growing economy. And even the COVID situations, their GDP and everything is very good. On the other hand, like you getting the real life experience from the real entrepreneur and successful entrepreneur, what's going on inside our education system. So how do you want to share your experience, as you are from Stanford University and from Silicon Valley? How do you want to share with us?
I definitely admire what oops, I forget people's names. It's
Mr. Sobul
Sabur.
Khan.
Sabur. What
Yes.
Sabur just
Sabur
told us, that is just amazing. Because in a country like Bangladesh, many people are struggling. I mean, it's not a wealthy country yet. It's getting wealthier all the time, which is wonderful. And education is, in a way, a luxury that people can have if it's a luxury. Where I live in California, surprisingly enough, in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of people, mostly immigrants from Latin America, that work on very poor jobs. They work in the fields, they work in restaurants, things like that. And one benefit that they have, or one wonderful thing that they have, is a really good family structure. So surprisingly enough, in California, the less advantaged Latino immigrants are healthier. They live longer. They have that's the group in California that has the longest lifespan. And that's, from my view, it's because they're strong family networks. Because what I do is I study social networks, and I study social networks, and I use language as part of the way that I study it and understand it. So what I did at Stanford, actually, my degree is from University of Oulu in Finland, but I spent a year at Stanford as postgraduate in sociology, and I published some of my things I published are in sociology, but my degree is in information systems, and I spent many years as software engineer, and I'm co-founder of an incubator in Silicon Valley. And I want to say something about something you said in a second, but what happens to them is their dad will get sick, or both their parents are working, and somebody in the family has to take care of the younger kids. So they'll drop out of school, or they won't be able to stay in school. They just economically can't do it. And so it kind of becomes a cycle where people don't get educated, and they don't live in a situation where education is valued. I mean, it's valued, but it's just not, it doesn't become an end in itself. Like with me, I always knew I was going to go to college. And even though I was poor when I went to college, I mean, that's just what you do. And so I super admire the ability to work in a place like Bangladesh and basically overcome the difficulties. When you've said that 90% of software companies fail, in Silicon Valley, I would say that that's probably true, around there, 85%. But the way they fail isn't a bad thing, because surprisingly, the people who start the companies don't fail. Sometimes people started 3 companies. They've gone bankrupt 3 times, and their 4th company goes public. Because the only way, there's different kinds of innovation, and there's incremental innovation. Like when I lived in Finland, they would make processes better incrementally in very useful and incremental ways. But radical innovation is, you're doing something that's changing people's mindset and changing the market, and that isn't always going to work. You have, when you think about Silicon Valley, you think of Hewlett Packard and Sun's gone, but Hewlett Packard and Google and Facebook and companies like that, but you don't realize that for every company like that, there's 1,000 companies that failed. But that's, if you know how to do something already, then everyone is going to be doing it. So the way that you can actually make radical changes and radical innovation is to try things that might not work. And Silicon Valley has an infrastructure where people are allowed to fail. It's okay to fail. It's okay to start a company that doesn't work because the people have learned something. Oftentimes what happens is they don't really fail. Somebody will buy them or somebody will hire the team that worked there and things like that. So I want to say one other thing about education is that it's a very multi-layered thing. There's the personal goals that people have in education. And if somebody's really, really dedicated to learning, a lot of times they'll become a professor where they manage to earn an income by researching and studying new things. And that's incredibly valuable. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, it becomes like training, where people learn a specific skill that's going to get them a specific type of jobs. And a lot of computer science has gotten that way. It's almost like learning to be a carpenter or something. It's very rigid. People don't take humanities classes at the same time to broaden their views. They become very almost like training. And there's been a huge pressure by part of the people in the United States to try and make universities be more that way. But super universities like Harvard and Stanford have enough money that they invest into things like humanities. And surprisingly, humanities majors actually do kind of well. They can become all kinds of things: marketing managers, human resource, all kinds in big corporations. And then the one other thing I want to say is that society is like a network of roles. And so we have a role as when we go into a company, we have a role as whatever the company decides they want us to do. Companies try and make a structure so that people are like parts in a machine. And if you leave, they'll be able to get somebody else to plug into whatever it is you do, so the machine will keep running. And success for most people is to start at some place in that machine and then gradually go up to farther heights. And research has shown that doesn't have a lot to do with merit. That has a lot to do with being in the right place at the right time. That's what my mentor, Harrison White, studied. And so but you have to get into that structure or you're not going to go up. Because if you become independent, you become an entrepreneur and you go outside of that structure, it's hard to get back in. So it's really an interesting thing about education, because institutionally people want that structure, but independently, as an independent person who wants to learn the most they can about the world, sometimes you have to get outside of that structure and become an entrepreneur or other things outside of the structure. So that's what I wanted to say about education. Again, I'm just so impressed by Sabur.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Donalds. We have Mr. Bartola. He has a very interesting community, learning community, and from Sweden. So can you share with us that how your community actually working for developing a learning community? I think you are working around the world. So how you were working, how you implement sustainable development goal. And then I want to go to Mr. Brands and Alex for their initiative of Ahura AI, as well as different kind of initiative for the green technology. Yes, Mr. Bartola.
Yes, I can start a little bit. It was amazing to hear Sabur and Donald's stories and how they are working. I resonate a bit with, I think, Donald very much. I'm from Sweden, but right now I'm in sort of a new UN center in Norway, in Trondheim, city of Trondheim, which is like the old Viking capital of Norway, and it's a strong learning environment. So my field has been, over the last 15 years, social capital. The word is social capital. So basically how we build relations together at the various levels, of course, from family to business associations, to city organizations, to politics. So very much in this type of relations that we have to hopefully will bring learning and insights to people. So my starting point was like to start to connect the people within these stakeholder groups starting 2006 in Sweden about how we can build sustainable region in West Sweden around the city of Gothenburg at that time. And then step by step over the last 15 years, I have elaborated with in progress with technology and new cultures that have popped into this around the world, how we can enable learning and also connecting to resources. So that's a field which today is emerging called systems entrepreneurship. So I call myself a sort of system entrepreneur, weaving these different layers of relations together. And the concept we are working on since a few years, and I invite you all here to be part, it's a sort of open community, is the learning society. And for you who know the concept of learning organizations, that's more an organizational or business level or NGO level, while society is a bit higher level. So how do we make room for citizen? How do we make room of different type of organization types? How do we learn as you can say fields of practice, academy together? Take the corona, for example, now. How do institutions and countries around the world learn together quicker to put a solution like the vaccine and corona together? So there's multiple ways we need to speed up the learnings and put it into practice to businesses like Sabur is developing here with education system. So I'm more into more societal learning rather than education, if you know what I mean. And a metaphor, so I'm part, and I have been part of setting up many communities around the world in different fields, social entrepreneurship, impact investing, environmental groups. So I'm a bit all over and try to get them together in some kind of journey forward. So to a large extent, I'm building connections and spend time like now, having dialogues, informal style or formal style, speaking to people and connecting and try to weave this. Weaving is a new word of bringing fields together forward. And a lot of listening to others, so get insights from how do you do things in Bangladesh or Stanford or wherever planet, because it's a lot of culture understanding and how people think and try to find the passion there. And also one of the challenges of being a system entrepreneur is that maybe it's not the traditional way of doing business, because like where do you get employment as a system entrepreneur? It's not a traditional business model of weaving politics and business together. So when you go out to city or municipality or another organization, I think most people or a lot of people I meet, they see the need of doing this, but it's often ends up in like, okay, but where do you get the funding, or how do you build the system forward? And I would say many of you, Sharif, for example, I see you as I would say a typical systems entrepreneur in your context. So we build these new forums that have the ambition to make the society a bit better or the organization better. I will also do, where I'm sitting right now, we're doing also a lot of trying to find out way to measure the qualitative and quantitative aspects of this type of relations. Human capital, social capital, ecological capital. How do we measure value creation over time when we build this? And to put these resources into action. That's a bit short, might be a bit of abstract, but the best thing is to test and join, and then something will emerge, hopefully for good.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Brian, how do you want to introduce your Ahura AI with our audience? And specifically, at present, AI is a big thing. We know that even in USA, 49 million people lose their job because of AI. And I'm sure those who joining today, they are very dynamics, and especially Mr. Sobur Khan, I know from Bangladesh, he take all of the smart and dynamic initiative in his university. I'm sure if you visit his university, you will be impressed. Personally, I visit several times, but this is my first meeting with him in the online. So, so how do you want to introduce the modern technology in education systems? And you have experience from NASA and many of the interesting things from around the world. Even how do you want to introduce and how we can solve this kind of unemployment related problem, and how we can work together?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, Dr. Sharif, thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor to be on a panel with so many amazing people. Sabur, is fantastic to hear about your university. I'm definitely looking forward to learning more, especially during this time of COVID. Dr. Steiny, just fascinating the work that you're doing, looking at social networks and how that impacts people. And especially the thing that you said about people who achieve a certain level of success being very lucky. I find myself to be one of those very lucky people. I was born in a tiny village with no running water and no electricity, and having had a series of very lucky experiences after living in a refugee camp and then coming to the United States, having access to amazing education and opportunity, and being able to catapult my career and being a multi-entrepreneur with multiple exits. And Bertola, what you're mentioning around the connection between all of these different areas is really fascinating to me. So to answer your question, Dr. Sharif, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing as a society, and this is part of SDG number 4 from the United Nations, is education, especially given that we are in the midst of what's called the 4th industrial revolution. And here in the United States, we're losing 49 million jobs to automation and artificial intelligence. Globally, that number is 1 to 2 billion jobs. Now, the challenge is, as a student of history, in the first 3 industrial revolutions, we were able to invent new jobs for people to do as a human society. The challenge is that in the previous 3 industrial revolutions, we had somewhere between 1 to 2 generations to retrain the population for the new jobs. This time around, we have 5 to 10 years, which creates a whole new host of challenges, which is how do you take a segment of the population who never went to college, barely made it through high school, and hasn't been upskilled in several decades? How do you take that cohort, and retrain them for new technologies that are emergent? Well, you have to have a different way of approaching the problem, because you can't just stick people in the same system that failed them to begin with. And one of the things that we found over the past several decades is MOOCs, massive online open courses, that were supposed to radically transform education were not able to do so because they suffer from an 84% churn rate, which means only 16% of people who in the United States and in Western countries sign up for and pay for online courseware are only able to complete the courseware at a 16% clip. And so then the question is, how do you incorporate artificial intelligence and personalization to enable those students to optimize their outcomes and be able to learn the material in a much more robust methodology? And so that's what we did at Ahura. So we invented tech that enables people to learn 3 to 5 times faster than traditional education. We launched our alpha at Harvard, proved out that the methodology works. We collect over 10,000 biometric data points every second on every user. So we're able to identify the optimal way to deliver content to an individual in real time, and deliver in a way that enables them to not only pay attention so that they're able to not get distracted by Facebook and Instagram and other things, but also they're able to learn faster and then retain that information for a much longer period of time. And so we've focused this effort on folks who are losing their jobs. So we're focused on adult learners who are being replaced by automation. So we sell into corporates to retrain their existing populations, but then our impact side of what we do. For every license that we sell to Fortune 100 companies, we give away free licenses to members of underserved communities globally, especially with a gender lens, to enable people to rise up and get the education that they need.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Alex, how do you want to add your innovative approach for the new education norms?
Yes, thank you again for these wonderful conversations. I want to commend and congratulate Sabur, like all of us, for everything that he's contributed to our society regarding this university and all the other good work that he's done. That's amazing. I wanted to expand real quick on the question that you just asked, Sheriff, regarding how are we going to adapt to new technologies. So as we continue to see the shift globally, we will continue to see more automation, more artificial intelligence, AI, and more jobs just being replaced by technology and efficiency. More automated cars taking maybe the jobs of taxi drivers and everything else. We're going to continue to see more job losses, I think, because of technology and other factors around the world. And I'm a strong supporter personally of a variety of different forms of universal income. I think that's very important, and it's going to be something that's going to have to be implemented, maybe not in every country, but in certain situations where too many people are going to be put out of work because of automation, AI, technology, computers. And I think that we're going to continue to see more job losses because of those factors. I know some countries do different forms of universal income, and maybe it's even more so now important because of the pandemic that we're all in. I think that it helps close the gap between the rich and the poor and help stabilize our economy, and it also prevents suffering and homelessness in different regions. There's also socialist types of programs that I think would help the less fortunate or the people without an education. I'm happy to be on this forum because I do strongly believe in education and how important it is globally. I think it drastically affects a country and the GDP of the country and just the happiness of the people. I'm really fortunate that I spent 30 years of my life in Santa Cruz, California, a really great education system, really great schools, good teachers, and a good environment. I have about 8 years on and off taking a wide variety of classes at Cabrillo College. I've taken a lot of renewable energy and resources, solar technology, a lot of green building construction courses, fire technology courses, every course that I could. And I probably would have 2 or 3 degrees right now, but instead I just like the knowledge. So I jumped around at a whole bunch of courses because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to apply it to my business, and I wanted to learn everything that I could, constantly watching YouTube videos, Netflix documentaries, having conversations with intelligent people, just wanting all that knowledge to be the smartest, most intelligent person that I could be, to then benefit my family, my friends, and our society. So I am fortunate that we have Cabrillo College here in Santa Cruz. I want to focus on one key aspect that was important to my success in education was the learning center that they provided, where they had a huge computer lab with, I think, 50 to 100 computers, maybe it was close to 100, 150, a lot of computers. They had Macs and PCs. It was a quiet environment. It was a really good environment to study, to work on the computer. The computers had big screens. They worked fast, good areas to study. And I didn't have a good area to study when I went through school because I rented out a big house. I had roommates and distractions, and it really allowed me to focus on that. So I hope more universities and other places have good internet, good computers, and a good area to study. Unfortunately, I went to Oakland about 2 or 3 years ago on a humanitarian mission to help a lot of the homeless in that community. And for some reason, I was walking down the street and I stopped in this college, and I couldn't believe the difference between where I live in Santa Cruz, California versus Oakland, and just how little funding they had. It actually made me cry when I left. This is Oakland. That's approximately 80 to 85 miles away from where I lived in Santa Cruz. And it's just everything was dirty, no pictures on the walls, no lights, everything was painted the same color. Everyone was walking around looking at the ground. Nobody was happy. Nobody was talking and interacting with each other. It was just a really sad, depressing place. And it was their huge college, their main college. So I just couldn't believe the difference. And I've now been to a lot of countries, a lot of third world countries or developing countries, and it was worse than what I've seen in a lot of places. I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked. So I wish that we would continue to redirect a large part of our focus and attention and our taxpayer dollars towards having a really good education system and a really good universities and colleges. I also think it's really important because it helps dictate if people believe in certain subjects. And right now in the United States, as you've seen, so many people in the United States don't believe in climate change. They don't believe it's real. They believe in all these weird conspiracy ideas. And now it's slowing down our potential to help, like even the face mask thing. So I think just education, having a good education helps change our society so much, and it helps change the direction of the world. And I also wish there was more classes in sustainability, renewable energies, environmental sciences. And I offend people when I say this, but honestly, I wish there was less on sports, ceramics, drama, art, and I wish that we had you don't even learn about not psychology. There's a certain category. I'll think of it. So I think we're out of balance in America, and I wish that more people just realize the value of education. And also now we have access to the worldwide internet, and it depends on how we want to spend our time to, watch educational documentaries and, educate ourselves, through YouTube and the worldwide internet and all of that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that I covered a lot of subjects.
Yes.
There.
Yes. No. Thank you. Basically, those who join today's sessions, everybody just think outside the box. I'm sure. Even I just want to introduce one point to our honorable chairman, Mr. Sobur Khan, that Professor Donalds and Mr. Bartola, Brands, and Mr. Alex, everybody come up with the idea that Silicon Valley, even Malaysia, Cyberja, everybody has a good ecosystem. But when you build up yourself or your company, I'm sure that it's a more than $1 billion company you have. So you do not have, I'm sure in Bangladesh, do not have that kind of ecosystem. But how you set up your mind that you want to be successful entrepreneurs, and you make a big universities and many organizations, how you set up your mind, how do you want to share your experience, your journey with our audience?
Well, I thought Donald is already mentioned, because everybody, we know that Silicon Valley is like as gold, like as diamond. Whenever anyone go there, they can become successful. But Donald is already mentioning there as a Stanford example and as a Silicon Valley example, that 85% to 90% startup is going to be the lost, they fail. But the thing is that we people always think that, okay, if I'm able to go to the Silicon Valley, I may become the successful. So that means he already mentioned the right time, right decision should be the key factor to become successful for every person, every entrepreneur, every initiative. And at the same time, I'm sure that Brian is already mentioned that whenever he went to the USA and he got the opportunity to work there, he got a good environment so that he can have a very strong, I must say that the background that where he already learned how to fight, how to survive, that the challenging life made him very successful whenever he got the opportunity in USA. So that means this is called the entrepreneurial mindset. In Bangladesh aspect, as Donald is also mentioned, that as a Bangladesh, we have a lot of challenge, no doubt. As I always love to say, we have a lot of problems. That is the opportunity for us. As few of I think the Maliha, one of these participants is already asking one of the questions, what is the opportunity of the digital marketing? Look, this is the time for flourishing your strength through the digital marketing. Because in the COVID-19, it is one of the opportunity for the young talent, those who are already habituate to utilize the technology. So digital marketing should be the one of the key component to penetrate to the market, because you can create the good impact and you can earn a lot of money and you can become an entrepreneur sitting to the home without any office. This is the opportunity of COVID-19. This is true. The COVID-19 is losing a lot of job. At the same time, it is giving a lot of opportunity also. As Sharif is also mentioned, because you see, I started my business also, as I mentioned, that from the scratch level, but I already faced a lot of the problem, a lot of the challenge. A lot of times I'm seeing that no, it cannot be happen. It has a lot of the problem. It is not the legal aspect, and a lot of the law and policy was not there. Even that when I started my business, you see, the Bangladesh government is not setting up the IT policy. I started my business in 1990, but the IT policy is enacted in the country in 2003. So what happened? And the real IT policy, we got it in after 2007. So is it mean that if there is no policy, that we should stop? So this is called the Bangladesh. Bangladesh people are resilient, and I'm sure that I'm so lucky that I love to say that I'm so lucky that I born in Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is a problematic country, and at the same time I must say that Bangladesh is a unbelievable opportunities country, because that is the one of the reason the whole country is run by the business entrepreneurs. So for your kind information, I'm sure that Alex and Brian and Donald and Bartolo, I think this for your kind information, I love to say that the Bangladesh is a country for the entrepreneurial people, because the whole economy is running by the entrepreneur. You see, our government is not asking any money to the foreign donor. So all of the money is coming from the tax, and who are paying the tax? The tax is paying by the people, the much people, the consumer, and definitely the business community also lead the whole country. So that's why I should say that look, as everyone is already mentioned, because as the donor is also mentioned, you have the experience of the business incubator, and you see, we business communities also set up some business incubator for our young talent people. And of course, as I mentioned again, because there is a problem in the country, but again, there is a lot of opportunity also in the country. As I also love to say sometimes to the young entrepreneurial minded student, that look, Bangladesh has huge problem. So that is why you have the opportunity to become the entrepreneur. Because if you're born in Europe, if you're born in USA, it's a challenging country. As again, I should say that in USA, it is very tough to establish any business. I hope that the Brian and all of the people, you can also agree with me. Alex is already, you mentioned that you have a lot of the experience in USA. And of course, and I'm sure that you should realize that how much challenging to establish in a business in USA. But again, if you are a entrepreneurial minded people, that USA has, Donald is also mentioned that maybe first time he become bankrupt, maybe second time he become bankrupt, maybe third time he become bankrupt, but again he become the successful businessman, because this is the beauty of the USA, I must say. But in Bangladesh context, this is very tough, because as you know, our people are very sensitive. Whenever any company or any people is become the bankrupt, it is very tough to understand or to absorb by the people, because the people are always eager to see who is become successful, how to become successful, because the market is very competitive. You know, the 180 million people in our country, very small country. But again, I should say it's a very promising country, because young people are moving fast. They are thinking very positively. They are using the social networking. They are using the other internet facilities. So that is the one of the reasons that the grassroots level, you see, in the village, in remote area, you know, there's a small city, a lot of the people are there doing good business sitting in the home. So I'm sure it's one of my perception that maybe after COVID-19, whenever the situation will be going very good, I'm sure that a lot of the good young people will establish themselves as a young entrepreneur through the virtual network. And you see, a lot of the people are getting job also, those who are very expert in the virtual. Because once upon a time, people are thinking to establish the big office, large building. But now, you see, that the internet, the virtual platform is the key factor, the how much you can present yourself, like Zoom, like StreamYard, like Microsoft Teamwork, like Google Meet, all of the big blue button. I think these of the people are now playing the key role, and they can give the, the sense of humor or sense of knowledge, how you should utilize the strength of the virtual software technology and to develop your business. So I hope that I'm again, I should say I'm very lucky, because I started my business as an IT business. That is the maybe one of the reason very quickly I can establish a lot of the company. And I'm really very proud to say that I established plenty of company, and few of the company I sold it down, because almost 8 company I sold. Because why I sold this company? Because you see, in 2001, I also just bought one company in the, Dhaka Stock Exchange. I bought one membership, Dhaka Stock Exchange. But later on, I understood, due to my IT business, due to my education, I cannot concentrate this business. So I sold this company in 2006. So these sorts of lot of company I developed, but whenever I realized that no, it is not possible for me to contribute to the society and put my time and to make myself as best one. So I sold the company. I thought that it is better to put my concentration where I'm feeling confident and where my domain knowledge and where a lot of the plenty of leader I also developed between this time. As Sharif is also mentioned, how I run my operation, because I proudly say that I have plenty of leader who I developed last few years and who have the ability to run the organization independently. And without my support, I think everyone is able to run their whole setup. And a lot of cases, you will be surprised because my company CEO, I think people do not know, maybe I'm the owner of the company or I'm the proprietor of the company. But very frankly speaking, I'm running very successfully all of the operation. And I hope that it will be continue with the leadership of our people. Thank you, Sharif.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your brilliant speech. Especially, it's come up with the experience. It's come up with the real life experience from Bangladesh. And when I represent Bangladesh, even in Oxford University, in Cambridge University, even our World Talent Economy forums, we always promote that emerging economy, developing economy is most important things. Even according to IMF, if you observe, I want to add with Mr. Sobur Khan, according to IMF, that emerging economy, developing economy like Bangladesh, like Vietnam's, this kind of countries, their GDP growths and everything is very good even in COVID period, because of this kind of entrepreneurs, because of this kind of ecosystem. Their ecosystem is completely different than USA. Their ecosystem, I want to add one point. This is very important, that this kind of country, developing country, has a lot of challenges, lot of problem. So that's why the entrepreneur has chances to solve these things. And I directly want to ask Mr. Donald, because from the audience there is a huge response and the huge questions, but I want to be very much specific on that particular point. How we can focus our educational policy, specifically innovative education and this kind of things, when we add in our education system, what type of things we can add in the COVID period. I want to focus on present situations for our youth community, because they come up with the idea of e-commerce, digital education systems, and many more things. So what the new idea you want to add today?
Well, I really was really interested by what Bert Ola was saying, because one of the things I consider to be incredibly important is your social networks. And what I mean by that is, one of the things that I see entrepreneurs do time after time is that they're really engineers. They've got a super good idea, and they have no idea of the business model of it. I had one company that I was working with, and they went to an incubator, a famous incubator in Silicon Valley. And when they got to the incubator, the first thing, I was with them, and the first thing they did is they asked somebody next to them. They said, "What's the biggest mistake you made with your company?" And they said, "Not having financial knowledge, not having a financial person." And not that many people are gifted enough to realize be both engineers and both be market. Because when you're working on a new company, things go wrong that you never even imagined. I mean, you don't even have a name for them. There's so many things that are going to go wrong. But there's people somewhere who've run into that exact same problem. They know exactly what it is. They can tell you exactly what to do. And interestingly, they may not be in the same field as you. So I worked on this group called the Silicon Valley Network Analysis Project at Stanford, and we were studying how the social networks in Silicon Valley made Silicon Valley what it is. And there's a lot of factors, but Silicon Valley is very heterogeneous. We have people from every country in the world. And in fact, white people like me are a minority. And because of that, we learn the problems from places like Bangladesh, and people are there from Bangladesh, and they often go back and learning to be an entrepreneur. So I think that teaching entrepreneurship is a very useful thing at universities, because there is a method, some methods to making it work for yourself, to building a company. And I wish I knew them when I first started a company. It was very difficult. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. Bartola, what do you want to add, especially for innovative and education system?
It's very interesting just to listen here. I don't know if I have the total solution, but one thing at least I'm pretty sure of is that if you look at the big challenges we have ahead in the coming decades, Corona is one thing we have felt the last year, but there will be more things emerging in the years to come. So I think it will be super important that we learn to work in cross-sectorial fields and solve problems systematically together. And the question is a bit, is the model we have now with how we develop education systems within a government, Sweden or Norway or Bangladesh or US, is it up to date with the future of education or future of learning? I think we need to learn more how to build more receptive institutions in the future that on the one hand give room for entrepreneurs, like individuals like Sabur and Brian and many other entrepreneurs out there in the world, but also we need to make sure that we have updated, democratic institutions that make it more possible for people to thrive wherever they are on the planet. So the quality of institutions is very important, I think, to work on as well in the future. So I just want to add a bit of that element into the discussion. It's not only about business, it's about other qualities as well, if we are really going to build the society we want to
Thank you.
live in.
Mr. Brand, and what do you want to add, especially I think that if you add something about AI related training and developments, which is very much important, I believe, for the developing nation right now. And they have opportunity if they learn this kind of skills and they develop this kind of skills and knowledge, then they also have opportunity to get a very good job in USA and the developed nations. What do you want to share about this kind of opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to applaud Sabur for being so forward thinking 30 years ago and building this university. And one of the things I really appreciate is they give away 25,000 laptops, for example, to people with from underserved communities in Bangladesh to have access to be able to learn the things that they need to. Look, Dr. Sharif, right now, we're getting into a world where folks who don't know how to code will very quickly be considered illiterate, just like someone who doesn't know how to read and write 50 years ago was considered illiterate. And so one of the key things that people need to understand, both in Bangladesh, in the United States, and around the world, is that the skill sets that are necessary to be successful in the new economy oftentimes include technological understandings of the world, being able to leverage code as well as other tools to be able to work remotely. Look, especially with COVID-19, this has exacerbated a lot of the trends that we have seen over the past several decades towards decentralization, towards people working remotely. And now, of course, we don't expect that Ahura or many of the people I speak to within the government and within tech companies, we don't expect that the world is going to return to the pre-COVID world. We are very much going into a new world that has new rules, and we need to be aware of that. And so for people that are listening, for students, for people who are losing their jobs or transitioning into new career choices, it's really important that you're able to leverage technology effectively, learn the skill sets as Alex mentioned in sustainability and clean energy, learn the technologies as Bertola and Dr. Steiny have mentioned in interdisciplinary studies and tech and coding and being able to work remotely, being able to use technology and laptops and digital tools, and artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Look, some of the most interesting spaces to be in right now are to learn some of these deep tech skill sets. So artificial intelligence, being able to code and create models. In artificial intelligence, people that graduate with the degrees in artificial intelligence are getting paid upwards of $1 million a year in salaries. People that start to learn how to code in the blockchain and leverage the blockchain to effectively incorporate new technologies in a decentralized format are making lots of money. And now the most recent and most interesting space for people that want to be on the cutting edge of technology is learning how to leverage quantum computing, because that is the new internet, that is the new world. And the people that are able to learn those technologies are going to be able to position themselves in a very competitive market, regardless of whether they live in Bangladesh or Malaysia or even places in Africa. That's part of the reason that we've done partnerships now with South Africa, with Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, India, and several other countries. And of course, we're looking forward to doing partnerships, Dr. Sharif, in Malaysia and in Bangladesh and other places, to give access to these resources to as many people as possible, to enable any person that has the motivation and the willingness to learn to be able to access these advanced technologies and the opportunities that come along with them.
Thank you. Mr. Alex, what do you want to add, especially about this green technology and this kind of opportunity? If the youth community, they learn this kind of things, what the opportunity they have in the global markets, how they can get more jobs, or they can solve different kind of things, what the idea? Because you are one of the activists who has very good experience on that particular arena.
Yes, thank you. So there are going to be new technologies, and to adapt as our society shifts, you can adapt with it, or you can try to adapt before the shift, before these changes take place. I learned a lot about graphene before it became so widely known. There's a lot of other new technologies as far as like nanotechnology, stem cell research. I personally have a drone. It's my third one, and I was ahead of that using my drone before they became really well known throughout our society. I was using it for photography and search and rescue and applying it to my business. So if you take the individual initiative, you can do research and you can find, through the worldwide internet, new technologies and try to be ahead of the curve. I know there's going to be a lot of new jobs in the renewable energy sectors, in solar technology, wind energy. We're going to be putting more effort and more funding towards tidal energy, wave energy, and we're going to be transitioning away from fossil fuels. So the people that are still working in the fossil fuel industry, those jobs are going to slowly disappear. So I try to stay ahead of the curve with environmental issues and climate change and all of that. So I'm fortunate that through keyword searches in the internet around the year 2000, 2002, I really started learning about climate change. And that's why I started going into the career of environmental science, raising awareness of climate change and trying to prepare our society. I would recommend to anyone watching, or even, the people on this panel, there's a really good website that I like referencing, and it helped me choose the direction of my career path, my activism, and the classes that I was going to take in school. It's Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook. The website, I believe, is bls.gov, and then the subcategory is Occupational Outlook. You can find that by going to Google and Google searching Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook. So through information, data, statistics, census information, the United States government has compiled all of this information into this website. So you can click on the main links, which are maybe health, construction, renewable energy, education, and there's maybe 20 categories. And in those categories, there's then subcategories underneath all of those. So when you click on those subcategories, you can learn about the job or career of your choosing. If you're planning on going to school, you can choose, you can kind of plan out your life. Like if you want to be a video editor, you click on it, you actually make like $60,000, $80,000 a year. It tells you the benefits, the downsides, if you have to work weekends, if you that you work on the computer, if people like their jobs, if you have health benefits. It talks about if you're going to need a degree to get that job. You can learn if you want to be an EMT or if you're going to be a paramedic, like what some of the risks are. You can learn about solar technology, or if you want to be a helicopter mechanic. It'll talk to you about it. So it'll break it down into how much you get paid an hour, if you get paid salary, what education you need, and it's a great resource. So you can, like, if you're young and you're choosing to go to college and you're not sure what you want to do, you can go to this website and just look around, and you can envision or think about all these potential career choices. It also talks about the projection, if those jobs are going to be increasing or decreasing. If you're choosing to get involved in the fossil fuel industry, it'll probably show that those jobs are decreasing. Home health care nurses and home health care aides that are taking care of all the baby boomers in the United States and the elderly people around the world, those jobs are going to be increasing because the human population are not having as many children. And so it's just such a great resource as far as information. And when I was on there, I went back a few years later and I reminded myself, oh, video editors, they're making so much more money than, the EMT course that I took. And so there is, it's a great resource. And I would recommend checking out all of the renewable energy sectors and everything about solar, and look at, you do get paid quite a bit. There's a lot of benefits. There's incentives, and the people that are taking courses in sustainability and renewable energy and resources, they can be a part of this shift. They can be a part of the change. In 2008, the first year that I started Cabrillo College, I took a course with Joe Jordan, an amazing teacher. He is a retired NASA scientist, environmentalist. He was then working at Cabrillo for years. So I took this course and I learned a lot about climate change. Unfortunately, a year or two later, that course was underfunded and it was canceled. And now as we see that we've passed a global warming tipping point, pollution is out of control, we're dealing with ecosystem collapses around the world. If in 2010, 2011, when that course was defunded, might have been the shift of someone like me that later became a huge activist, would not have taken that course. So again, when we choose our career and we take courses in the renewable energy sectors, solar technology, or anything that's going to help make the world a better place or help support and encourage our shift towards sustainability or help us transition towards a caring society, that's also going to help those programs have more funding or the funding that they need. And that's also going to help our shift in society. So if we continue to, it just helps dictate the future, how we spend our time, how we spend our money, and even the college courses we take help our shift towards the society that we want to create and the society that we're going to see in the future.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I have the last question for all of the panel. As our honorable Daffodil Group chairman, Mr. Sobur Khan, also here, my question is that how we can create more job opportunities, especially for the youth community. I know that country like Bangladesh, they have 160 million people, 57% youth, like more than 80 million people is youth. So how we can create more job opportunities, not only in the national arena, even the international arena, with the innovative education systems. I know that Daffodil have a very good setup, and they take all of the initiative for entrepreneurships and many interesting initiatives they are taking with the Bangladesh governments and the international community. So how actually our youth community can get benefit from this kind of initiative?
Thank you, Dr. Sharif. I think, as I already mentioned, Bangladesh has a plenty of population, and maybe you are aware that 180 million people. So I am always very optimistic. And after seeing the COVID-19, this pandemic, it's given me one indication that maybe Bangladeshi people, Bangladeshi young people will get the unbelievable opportunity to get the virtual job. Because presently, I'm sure that everyone will agree with me that all of the company, they prefer to get the people from the virtually. So what happened? Bangladeshi people has unbelievable strength in technology, but usually the strength, they are diversified in the wrong way. So this is the time to bring all of them in the positive way. So what happened? I'm sure that the lot of people, they will get job. Global market, usually that the lot of the job where is there's a concentration, like data entry, like the call center, like that's a digital marketing, content writing, artificial intelligence, especially the big data, especially the virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and there's augmented reality. So these sorts of lot of places where it is my perception that Bangladeshi people will get unbelievable opportunity, especially the young people, because these people, they started their life with mobile phone, with smart technology. So after when they are able to speak, they got the mobile phone. So they know the how to operate the mobile phone. You see, the we people took a lot of times. If I am sure that Donald will agree with me, when we just first habituate to use the mobile, I think it took a lot of time for us to practice properly, right? And even that after using the mobile, after 3 to 4 years, SMS is already innovate, right? And after 3 to 4 years, then that other technology, and then after 10 to 15 years we see the social networking. But these people, young people, those who are, we call the millennial baby, they started with all technology, WhatsApp, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything they are habituated. So that's why they have the plenty of opportunity to contribute through the virtual networking, and they will get a lot of the good job also. The once upon a time, what if still now, it's any production house, what they need, they need salesmen to sell their product, they need the marketing people, they need the branding, the business development manager, they need the HR people. But now all of the contents is now coming to the through internet. I think the digital, the salesman, everything can be complete. Even the Facebook, WhatsApp, plenty of B2B site is already there. How the Amazon is already come to this position only using the data analysis. I think their data analysis is one of the world best data analysis. So the Google Analytics and a lot of the tools is also there in our hand. So our people will analyze that what sorts of people, what sorts of product they are expecting, and in which time, and what is the age group, and which is the regional category. Everything they can analyze from their home and from their finger and from their smartphone or from their computer. So they can easily propose, say, if anyone offer me, I think one of the people is already posted that education system also will be, there is a serious disruption, there is a serious transformation will be coming to the education sector, right? Because the way the teacher is giving the class, it will be changed. It is already changed. Now it is go to the virtual platform. So virtual platform, the student can easily identify who is the best teacher, who can hypnotize or control or to understand the mindset of the student. So that means the young people who can contribute to the education sector, they develop the content, they develop the video, they develop the documentary, they understand the pulse and intention of the student. I'm sure that product will be most sellable product in the world. So it doesn't matter. I'm sure that Alex will not ask, or Donald will not ask that who is this person? He's in Bangladesh, or she's in Rangpur, or she's in Chittagong. That doesn't matter. She's in Santa Cruz, or she's in California. That doesn't matter. The matter is how quality or how just customer identification or customer attention he or she can bring the proper custody. So that is why I should say, due to this pandemic situation, there is a plenty of opportunity. And I don't know that maybe God is also giving this pandemic due to the one of the good transformation, those who was depriving last few years, last few decades. Once upon a time, that before 1900, Bangladesh was a very rich country. And maybe a lot of you may know that the Bangladesh was one of the considered was the Bangladesh and India. This region was very rich country. That is why the British came and they already occupied Bangladesh, because they called the Bangladeshis have a plenty of opportunity. In that time there was agriculture, we are rich, fish we are rich, and even that as a small country, Bangladesh is very small comparison to the USA. It is almost 80 times smaller. 80 times that is Bangladesh is America is 80 times larger than Bangladesh. So what happened? We are the 5th largest fish producer. We are the 4th or 5th largest, that's leather producer. We are the 2nd largest apparel industry. So we have a lot of places. We have a lot of this good example that which our entrepreneur can penetrate. So that is why I should say that the entrepreneur will get more job, and definitely we'll use the technology, because technology will be the backbone. And we are lucky that our government is also took the right initiative. Whenever this government is came to the power, the first time they already declared the digital Bangladesh. They will develop the Bangladesh as a digital Bangladesh. Everybody is laughing how the government is already taking this initiative. But slowly, I think everybody is realized that yes, Bangladesh is moving in the proper track. The way we are moving, I hope that inshallah in the near future we can capture the job market and our people will get the job, and maybe once upon a time we will not find there is no young people who is jobless. Thank you, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you. It's actually really nice discussions. I agree your point. According to Adam Smith, India, especially Bongo, it's mean Bangladesh, eastern part of China, and Egypt. These are the three countries, those who are really richest 100 years before. And this is the interesting things that maybe after the COVID, this kind of economy again grow. So I want to ask Professor Donalds and then Mr. Alex that how the young community get more job opportunities through the innovative education system. Mr. Professor Donald.
Well, I think I'm very supportive of the idea that the more connections you have, the more opportunity that you have. And this particular change because of COVID does allow us to expand our opportunities. What I'm trying to say is one of the greatest serial entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley is a guy named Suhas Patil, and he invented fabless semiconductors, basically. He was the first guy to do that. And I was on a panel discussion, or had him for a panel discussion similar to this. And when he talked, he said, tell your idea to everybody. He said, people think that their idea is so great that they've got to keep it secret or somebody will steal it from them. And he said, there's no idea that you're going to have that other people don't have at the same time. It's a matter of carrying it through and making it happen. We have a joke in Silicon Valley is that somebody comes up to an investor and he says, I'd like you to give me $1 million. I have a great idea. I'd like to give you $1 million. You to give me $1 million so I can implement it. And the investor says, well, what's your idea? And they say, give me $1 million and I'll tell you. That isn't going to work out too well for people. But they said, you never know who's going to be able to help you. You might meet him in a laundromat. So being able, there's going to be jobs out there. And just like looking around on company websites to try and find jobs and things like that, that probably I have a friend, Mark Granovetter, who wrote a very famous paper called The Strength of Weak Ties, which is about how people get jobs. And he studied people in the Northeast, about 500 people, and he asked them how they all got jobs. And he found out that most of the people got it by accident. They were at a school reunion and they met somebody, and the person at the school reunion said to them, well, gosh, our company really needs somebody like you. We've got an opening. So that thing I said about social structure being a kind of a network of positions, of roles. But once one role gets empty, then there's a place for somebody else to fall into that role. So, and the thing that I said about the two ways of doing it, either finding a role inside of a fixed structure like an organization, or being an entrepreneur, which is outside, I'm personally very big on entrepreneurs. I think that's a great idea. And so I'd recommend people can start their own jobs. And when I've seen at least 1,000 people pitch their company in Silicon Valley, at least. And if the first thing that they say isn't, we found a problem, this is how we're going to solve it, people just ignore them. Because as Sabur said, the more problems you have, the more opportunities you have, really, in some sort of a way, because that's what companies do, is they solve people's problems. And as Sabur said, in Silicon Valley, there's so many people competing that it's very likely that whatever you're trying to do, somebody else is trying to do. And it's kind of an unfortunate thing, but people don't work logically. If you're trying to raise money or you're trying to do something like that, personal connections are actually far, far, far more valuable than just, I don't know, some sort of a perfect academic company. So I recommend to all students that to get jobs is expand your interests and take time trying to meet people that are outside of your own narrow world, because through those connections is how you're most likely by far to get another job. And how does that do with education? Well, it's a matter of not limiting yourself in education. Take some time to take some classes outside of what you do. And the beauty of that is when there's been a lot of studies of innovation, and people don't just come up with ideas. What they do is they borrow ideas from other social worlds, and they solve a problem that may not be a problem. Like, for instance, if you're studying computer science, you don't know that there's a problem in some other completely different world, manufacturing, whatever it happens to be. But if you spend some time looking at these different worlds or becoming parts of these different worlds, you can see problems that you can bring your expertise into that world and solve various kinds of problems. So recommendation about trying to get a job is do well, be the top of your class in computer science, whatever it is that you're trying to do, but don't limit yourself to that, because that'll help you if you're trying to get a job where you want to fill a slot inside of an organization, you won't know that slot is available unless you have personal connections. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to go into other places to find problems that can be solved and find the different people that you need, human resources, marketing, accounting, all those kinds of things. So my recommendation is basically open yourself to as many people as you can and talk to them, ask them what they do, just get into their world. So that's what I say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Professor. Mr. Alex, yes.
Yes, so to expand on what Donald was saying, I do think it's important to diversify and expand your knowledge. So, because some people, I know a couple people here in Santa Cruz, they got their degree in music or art at University of Santa Cruz, and it's not even what they want to do, and they changed their career. So if you just diversify your education, you can be more resilient and adapt easier. So my main response I'd like to break down into 3 sections. The first thing is, again, the worldwide internet. Google has some really good infographics that you can easily find if you Google search how to become a successful person and then click on images. There's a chart that's broken in half, and it shows unsuccessful people and successful people. Unsuccessful people don't take notes, and they do different things and balance. So I can't remember exactly everything that's on it, but it's a really good infographic, and I constantly search that. I look at it and I'm like, okay, so I'm not taking as many notes. I don't have my list of things to do, and I'll try to shift over to how to become a successful person on that infographic, and it's a lot of good information, and it's just really easy to understand. It's in 6 or 7 illustrations on either side, and again, that comes to balance and how you balance your time. I would recommend, if you can get a smartphone or a laptop, how important that is just to access the worldwide internet. But at the same time, it's so important with education and being successful is balance. If you spend a lot of time on Facebook and Instagram, you're not networking. I don't even know what those are, like Snapchat and other things. It takes away time because there's only so many hours in every day. There's only so many minutes. And if you spend too much time doing the wrong things throughout your life, all of those add up. So with me, I try not to, I'm fortunate because for a long time, I didn't have a girlfriend. I don't have any kids. I wasn't religious. I didn't watch sports. I didn't play video games. So all of my additional time I gained compared to the average person, I was spending on going on adventures and continuing to expand my education. And I'm really happy with all of my choices, because if I try not to waste my time watching the same movie, 2 or 3 times, because again, those life hours you can redirect into becoming more intelligent, helping people, helping animals, the environment, or trying your best to make the world a better place. Personally, I don't think everything's about money, but success is important. So the second category that I'd like to cover is there's a huge shift globally. This shift is so huge. It's happening rapidly. It's shifting to not only renewable energies, but shifting towards green products. We're going to continue to see more and more that every month, every year, year after year, and over this next decade, we're going to continue to see more focus and more people voting with their money on sustainable packaging, renewable resources. We're transitioning away from plastic straws and plastic cups, and everything's going to start being green. Even the chemicals that we're using, there's just so many new companies. And if you get ahead of that right now and learn about what is green, what products or what materials go into making something green, and you start a green company and a green business, eventually you're going to be ahead of everyone else, ahead of all the big companies and corporations that care more about their profit margin than they do the environment. And more people are going to see the devastation of pollution around the world, the consequences of anthropogenic global warming, and they're going to start voting with their money more rapidly. So there's so many green jobs and green products because more people are going to be voting with their money in the future. The third category that I would like to mention, and maybe Sabur can expand on this if we have enough time. Unfortunately, because of anthropogenic global warming, an increase in atmospheric temperatures, we're also seeing increases in ocean temperatures. Those are melting the glacial ice caps. And globally, it's raising the surface to the ocean level around the world. Some countries are more susceptible to the rising ocean levels than other countries. I know New Orleans is losing, actually this was like 2 years ago, they were losing a football field of space of land. It was like every 60 seconds or every 1 second. It was crazy. These numbers and these statistics are horrible. Flooding here in the United States in Florida is happening more often during high tide. Bangladesh is extremely susceptible towards the rising ocean levels. That is not going away. It's not going to go in 2 ways. It's not going to go in 10 years or 20 years. That is something that's going to happen in Bangladesh. So the city is going to have to re-engineer everything, restructure the coastal areas, and a lot of the city is probably going to have to move. The rural communities, the smaller communities that don't have the millions or billions of dollars that it's going to take to build seawalls, pump out the seawater, or relocate the infrastructure and make it more resilient towards the rise in ocean sea levels. So if the people in Bangladesh want jobs and careers in the future, I'd also recommend learning more about the rising ocean sea level, the devastation that it's going to cause Bangladesh, and how to learn more about engineering to help protect that community, because it will essentially help the long-term economy of Bangladesh. And I don't know if you could expand on that, or if all of that sounds correct, or if there are opportunities for people in your community to get jobs to help their community in the following years, in the following decade.
Yes, thank you, sir. Especially, I want to request our honorable Mr. Sobur Khan, because he has a unique set of professors as well as very good collaborations with government, media, and everything. The next challenge will be the global warming. Where actually the World Talent Economy Forums we are working, Bangladesh, country like Bangladesh, Maldives, Sri Lanka, even USA, some part of USA, Indonesia, they will be affected for the
Right.
global warming. And definitely, like leaders like Mr. Sobur Khan, they can take a lot of initiative. We can approach
Mhm.
them that this is the vital issues, and our youth community can develop their things in that way. And World Talent Economy Forums, we are also supporting these global warming issues, and we are also focusing on the green technology, and we are creating awareness. And as I am from Bangladesh, as like Sobur Khan,
Wow.
he like my mentors, and many important persons from Bangladesh, definitely they observe these shows. World Talent Economy Forums actually initiative of the global community. 100 different countries, peoples, not only people, we ensured the representation, not only in Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, everywhere. We are ensured that everywhere peoples like Mr. Sobur Khan, Professor Donalds, Mr. Alex, and everyone can join here and share their views. We have small achievements. I want to give a special thanks to our guests, those who join and enrich World Talent Economy Forums, as well as the audience, those who help us these years. It's a very short period of times. We are taking this World Talent Economy Forum initiative, and by these times, actually, we are actually achieving interesting things, like we are achieving awards from transdisciplinary agora for future discussions. In 12th of December, our World Talent Economy Forums with Johannesburg University, one of the scholars from Harvard University, we win this Futuristic Leadership Award. And this award, I want to share with all of our speakers, those who join here. I want to share the audience, those who support us a lot. And in between just 7 months, we are trying to grow, and we are growing very fast. I know that Mr. Sobur Khan is a very unique personality. He loves to think outside the box. If your student get any kind of support from our content, it's 100% free. World Talent Economy Forum, I'm sure they will get a very unique guidelines, and the global community, they recognize that World Talent Economy Forums trying to introduce some things which is very much helpful for global goods. So hopefully we will get all kind of intellectual support from the speakers and the global community. And I want to directly go for the concluding remarks. I directly want to request Mr. Sobur Khan sir, then Professor Donalds, and Mr. Alex for concluding remarks for today.
No, thank you, Dr. Sharif. I think as Alex Londos has already mentioned, that this time that natural calamities, and that's a forest problem, green compliance, everything. So Bangladesh is facing this trouble, and thank you very much. You already know a lot, and even better than us also. There's a lot of river erosion we are also facing every year. And a lot of the land we are also lost due to cause of river erosion. And at the same time, you rightly pointed out that our sea level is going to be high. And that is why it's a very warming situation for us, and very serious warning. And I'm sure that the Bangladesh government is also trying to address this one. And that is the reason the government is also pushing everyone to look a lot of the green effects and the plantation, more plantation. And government is also focused the agriculture and other plantation area. But I'm sure that you are also very rightly focused, as Dr. Sharif has also mentioned, from our university. We are also very focused to look after this climate change matter, and that is why we organize our university in such a way. We are committed that 80% of our land will be vacant. It will be green area. Less than 20% will be just construction. So more than 80% land will be keeping greenery, and that is the reason I should say that the last 3 years our university is already stood the best green ranking university in our country. Last 3 years we stood the first position.
Wow, cool.
And our people is also very much focused on this area. Our student, we have a lot of lovely students, and we also introduce one course in our university which is called Art of Living. So this Art of Living also has a component that how we should look after the environment, how we should take care about the environment. So that is the one of the key component of our art of living. And I'm sure that the time zone is giving a very good example in today's program. As I think this Alex and Donald, both of you are in the sunlight. I think this Alex is already in the sunlight, and I'm seeing that Donald,
Yeah.
your room is already coming to the sunlight, and we are in the dark because we are in the midnight. I think the Sharif is Malaysia. I think he's in the middle night. I think it is now in 1:30 a.m. Right,
Yeah.
Sharif? So
12:30. Yes.
12,
yeah, 12:30 a.m. So you see, this is in one sense, this is also beauty, as Alex is also very rightly pointed out, that success is the matter, money is the matter, but it is very bad luck that we people is always talking the money is the only matter. Money is the what is called judgmental to how much I am successful or how much I am rich. But I'm completely agree with you. The success and the contribution is really giving the mental and physical in both happiness. I think if you have the money, then what you'll get it. After become so rich, you are going to the green, you are going to the nature, that hey nature, I need good health, I need good food. But you see, between this time you already lost everything.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm sure that I'm completely agree with you that success is really the one of the key matter. And Bangladesh aspect is also is a very challenging, as Donald is also mentioned, because really Bangladesh is a very challenging country, resilient country, opportunist country, and our young people is also moving very, very fast. And I'm sure that the people's mindset is already giving us a better future of Bangladesh, and our people can contribute in the world. Of course, the world green and other effect in the renewable energy also. You will be happy to know that in renewable energy, we are contributing world best. Why I'm telling the world best, because I give you the one example, then you will understand. Because we are the second largest contributor in the apparel industry, and world top 10 green effect company factory, the top 5 is from Bangladesh, the whole world. If you go to the website and you will see that the apparel industry top 10, the 5 is from Bangladesh. So that's why you should realize that how much our people are entrepreneurial minded, as I already mentioned a few minutes back. So I hope that our people will move fast, and our education system, because that is true that our education system is lag behind. Our education system need to be transformed. But I'm hopeful that after seeing the COVID-19 pandemic, our education teacher, our student, our decision maker, they also realize that yes, education need to be in such a practical way, so the students really learn something. They will not memorize only. They will not copy and paste only. They will not go to the Google uncle or YouTube auntie. They will go to the real life, go to the practical life, implement something, and so that the after education they can really say, yes, I really learned something and I'm capable to getting the job. And that's why we are also developing entrepreneurship department in our university. And we love to say that our student once upon a time, they will not search job, rather they will provide job to the other people. Thank you, Sharif. Thank you very much. And thank you all of these distinguished guests for your wonderful discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Professor Donald.
Well, I want to leverage off of what Sabur Khan just said, which is that in the end, you always educate yourself. I mean, it's not, nobody's going to open up your head and start pouring knowledge in it. And somebody asked, one of the questions people asked is, what's the role of a teacher? And I've been teaching for a long time, and I feel that my role is to allow people to feel okay about making mistakes, because you're learning. If you know how to do something, you can do it right. But if you're learning things, there's going to be barriers. You're going to make mistakes. And I think I agree with what Alex and Sabur said, which is that in the end, it's about education is something inside of you, like your desire to be able to get out and make yourself a better person and make the world a better person. And I think the role of a teacher is to let people know the value in that and really make them understand. I think it's a natural thing for us all, but it's somehow taken away from us as we get older. And so I think the important thing is to realize that education is in itself a goal, that not just to get a job or not just to start a company, which are incredibly valuable, but also to make yourself a better person and make the world a better place.
Thank you, Mr. Alex.
Just what Sabur and Donald were saying. There's different forms of success, and contributing to the economy, starting a business is one form, or just living a good life, being happy with who you are, what you've accomplished, helping out your family and friends is also important. But that comes down to the individual initiative, how you choose to spend your time, and education is usually a big part of that. There's a lot of resources online. There's libraries outside of the pandemic. There's books that you can purchase to help just make the world a better place and continue to gain knowledge. I know that when you are educated or you are financially successful, you do have the ability to help your family and friends to a certain extent. At the same time, voting with your money is extremely important. Our society in general, our global society, is out of balance. There's a lot of people, especially in my country, in America, that they work and they maybe make too much money and they're voting with their money incorrectly. They're buying bad products. They're living outside of their means. They're buying and owning things that don't serve a purpose. And they're doing all that maybe to fill a void, or to try to satisfy some need or some want of just owning a lot of stuff. And all of those things that we constantly buy, that we own, has an environmental impact. Every single purchase that we make is a form of how we chose to vote with our money. And when we continue to vote wrong, it continues to destroy ecosystems around the world. So when making money allows you to be successful, also if we continue to buy too much and just hoard supplies, it does help the world economy, but it strains on the environment, and we're extracting resources beyond their ability to recharge. So if I had a larger volume of money than I currently do, I would work on trying to buy land to protect it and not develop it. I would try to donate to the the nonprofits that are focused on planting trees. I would also spend more of my money to make sure that I'm supporting good, healthy, organic food, preferably, vegetables and fruits. So then I'm helping our shift towards organic food production and sustainability. I think health is also really important. So the more money, if you have extra money, just eating healthy and supporting the organic food companies and corporations is also important. There's some good links. I like researching how to make the world a better place on WikiHow. There's a step-by-step list of how to donate, how to volunteer, how to help the elderly in your community, how to help animals, how to pick up trash. There's a lot of other good things, and that comes down to education. So education, again, I think provided me with the knowledge that I have. I would continue to support education in every way possible. We didn't mention that here in the United States, probably other countries, were able to vote politically when we go into vote, if we want a portion of our tax money to go towards education or certain government-funded programs. So that's another way that we could help support where money is being directed towards education. And I try my best to support education in every way possible with going to the correct classes and everything else. So sorry, there's some distractions over here.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Thank you very much. That was my concluding statement. Thank you.
Thank you. This is actually a really nice discussion. I'm sure there is a huge audience response and they love a lot for today's discussions. And I know that our honorable guest, Mr. Sabur Khan, has huge youth community. I think more than 100,000 youth students. I think more than that he already produced from his education group. So World Talent Economy Forum, we believe in meritocracy, we believe in quality of work, and modern science, engineering, and technology is most important part for us, and that's why we are trying to invite all of the intellectual peoples from around the world. And when we get all of our content, we are distributing it with different school, college, universities around the world, and it's 100% free. So hopefully by this way we can develop a better ecosystem. And our honorable guest, Mr. Sabur Khan, hopefully he can he can do a lot of work in Bangladesh. Even in global community, he's doing a lot of work. Hopefully by this way we can create better ecosystem in Bangladesh, not only in Bangladesh, in the global arena as well. So thank you for today's discussion. It's really nice discussion. Especially I want to give thanks our honorable guest, Mr. Sabur Khan sir. Hopefully future we will invite you more, as well as I want to give thanks Mr. Donald, Stephanie, and Mr. Alex for your nice contribution. Thank you for your time and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish all
Thank
of
you.
you good luck.
Bye bye. Take care.
Wish all of you good luck.
Bye bye.